All right, so we're continuing on Daf Nun Dalet Amud Aleph. The last thing we mentioned was that the pasuk included all things that have death. You're chayav for. So the Gemara says, "Amin Rabbanan they come ma'ayit lahu kelim." Even according to Chachamim who excluded kelim from a bor by learning hamor, وبين البدع they come merabe lahu kelim. Even according to Bida who includes kelim you're chayav based on the pasuk of o, the word o, kelim b'nei mitaninu. Why do you have to even deal with it? We said only things that have death. Kelim doesn't have death. Its utensils or clothing. Gemara says, Amri shiviratan zuhi mitatan. The breaking of a keli or the destruction of one, that's considered its death. So it's true. That there has to be an element of death. That includes kelim because the kelim have death as well in their breakage, right? For example, you have nowadays you have electronics that are broken, you call them dead. It's a dead item. Okay. Rav Damar Kundra who says Bor Shahi Ba'ala Torah the right to halacha bor in the Torah regarding to the fumes and not the impact. Ben Rabbanan Ben Rabbidah Kelim Bnei Havlaninu. There's no fumes in that aspect for kelim. Where it says Amri Behalati, yes, it's true, but with earthenware vessels, especially new ones, the Mifka and Mehavla, they can explode from the fumes. So I guess there's some type of reaction to new earthenware vessels and go into a bor, the noxious fumes can cause it to burst. All right, so we just said that we use that pasuk v'hamet yelo to do that mita. We needed something else. Short piece lemudashin shenafal bor, short that is a pasul hekdesh that falls into a pit. Patur shenamar v'hamet yelo b'misha hamet shelo, that the carcasses that belong to somebody. Excluding this case because the carcass does not belong to him. So how can we use this pasuk to teach you anything that made up and use for something else? Right? The pasuk says the owner of the pit shall pay and he shall return the money to the owner. Anything that's able to be owned, that is the inclusion. So even a person or item should be chayav as well. If we have to learn the pesukim to exclude those two. Who includes kelim. I understand the word short to exclude Adam. What does he exclude with? If he includes kelim already. Hamor the board, right? The term hamor, which the Torah uses to teach you something in a pit, and the Rebbe according to the Rebbe, and the word se, lamb, in regarding to lost property, regarding to a lost item, the pasuk uses the word se. Someone's sheep becomes lost. Why did it rely on that specifically? The divrei hakol, everybody. Sorry, Rebuda for hamor and se for a lost item. The divrei hakol, everybody agrees in that case. Kasha are difficult to explain why the Torah specifically mentioned those cases. Next part of the Mishnah. If the ox, deaf, deranged, majnun, young, fell into the pit, the owner of the pit is hayab. My short cheresh katan. All right, what do you mean? Even a short shell cheresh, if it means belonging to a deaf person, short shell katan, but that means if the regular guy owns an ox, you're patur. Why would you patur? Marichan shor shehu cheresh, shor shehu shote, shor shehu katan. Like we explained in the Mishnah, the actual shor is one of those things. Why patur if it's an intelligent ox? Let me buy Kama. Let me buy shor shehu b'kiach hayav. It's unnecessary to teach me that the shor that's a regular animal is chayav because you're chayav. Maybe you might think in those cases patur because maybe it's not my fault that it fell into the pit because it's majnun or whatever it is. Therefore, the pattern issue of Torah, you're still chayav. If an intelligent ox fell inside your patur, my love short ba'dat. What is it referring to? Adam is referring to a person. A person who's smart falls in his patur. But a person who's not so smart would be chayav. We know that it says an ox and not a person. It's referring to an intelligent type of animals, species, which is humans. Right? You're patur for any type of human being, whether you're not the person's intelligent, which nowadays we don't have a lot of. The Brisa says, short ben da'at patur, specifically an intelligent ox. short of who cheresh, short of who shote, short of who katan, dafka. Those times you're chayav. Ava short of who pekiach, intelligent act, patur. My time, why? The ba'da ayune umezal. It should have checked where it was going, not my problem. Tell me, we see elsewhere. Nafad the shor cheresh of the katan, the suma b'halech b'layla. Ox that is deaf, majnun, young, blind, or not walking at night. They fell into the pit, hayav. Pekech melech bayom, even if it's a smart one, but it's walking during daytime, patur, because it shouldn't have done it. Next Mishnah. Ehad short of ehad kol behema, whether it's any type of ox or any type of animal. And then if you let a board in regarding to falling into a pit, or vashat har Sinai regarding to separating by har Sinai, right? Meaning, as long as there was by those days that the Shekhinah was by har Sinai, if your animal went there, it would die, right? So, in regarding to any type of animal that were to fall into a pit, or in regarding to force the animal stay away by Har Sinai, utashlume kefil in regarding to paying double payment for stealing an animal, ushavadan regarding to returning this animal, lifrika regarding to unloading it, right? The pasuk says you have to help an animal you have to unload an animal if it's struggling with the weight. Lahasiman regarding to the chiyuv of muzzling it while it's walking. Lechilayim in regarding it to kilayim, mating it or plowing, either mating it with another species or plowing with another species. Shabbat, in regarding to having your animal work on Shabbat. And also, any haya, so we mentioned behema. Behema is like a domestic animal, haya is a wild animal, and bird are also similar in these halachot, in the same 8 halachot. Why specifically short hamor? Is referring to usual cases of what will fall into the pit. So the Gemara says, and they talk about regarding to falling into the pit. Kesef yashiv ba'alav ktiv. You have to return the money to the owner. Called the itle ba'alim, anything that has ownership, kidamran, like we said earlier today. Lavash har Sinai regarding to separating har Sinai, because the pasuk says, im behema im ish lo yahyeh, whether a behema or a person will not live. V'haya bechla behema, and a wild animal is considered part of behema. Im, and the word im, that Abu Ta'afot includes the birds. Tashlum kefil, how do you know you're for tashlum kefil for a thief? That mean on the convention elsewhere, I'll call the pesha. Any type of liability, any type of stealing, klal, generalization. I'll call the pishia, anything the type of liability, any type of thing that you're responsible for the item. If you stole any type of something, basically anything substantial or anything non-abstract, anything that you have in front of you, you're chayav. Any type of you have to return it. Anything the guy your friend shall lose. That includes birds and animals. Helping unload an animal. You learn Xer from donkey to donkey in regarding to Halachot Shabbat, so that halacha applies. Lahasima regarding muzzling it. I leave short Shabbat also. Another Xer from Shabbat, it applies to all animals. You can't muzzle your animal while it's working. Like ayim. If referring to just in regards to halachot of kilayim for plowing, you can't have 2 animals plowing together, 2 separate species. We leave shor Shabbat, you have to get a shor from Shabbat. Right? The reason why you can't do it is because each animal has its own feeding and eating schedule, and some animals chew its cud. So if the ox is working with another animal that chews its cud more often or less often, the animal will feel slighted when he sees this animal chewing as if it's eating. Meanwhile, it's just re-chewing what it's eating. So that says don't do that. It's not fair. If it's referring of mating 2 different species, another Shabbat from Shabbat. Teach you all halachot. Last one. The guy how we know halachot Shabbat, right? We brought most of the things we just mentioned. We 7 other halachot. Most of them was from Shabbat. So how we know Shabbat? Tanya, in the first version of the Debrot, it says, right? It says multiple times in Torah, Avdecha, Ba'amatecha, Uvhemtecha. Your son, your daughter, your slave, your shivcha, your behema. And the second time it mentioned, said the Debrot, Veshorecha, Bahamorecha, Vechol Behemtecha. Your ox, your donkey, and every type of animal. You already mentioned Shor Hamor, now we say Behema again, but it's already included. Let me ask you why we split single amount. Just like over there, in regarding to ox and donkey is mentioned over there, just like so too, and the wild animal and bird is included in the same status. Of course, so to any halacha regarding shor hamor, hayav also then ox and donkey is included. Ema behema the b'dirot rishonot klal. Wait 1 second, we have klal, prat, and klal. First time I mentioned it, it's considered a klal. Generalization. When it says your ox, donkey, it's a specification. Specify these two animals. Klal uprat, ana beklal ma en beklal elama sheprat. Shorba hamorin ma'edi lahnin lo. You only have klal and prat. The generalization is limited to the specification, which is just an ox and a donkey and nothing else. So maybe they should not be applying to everywhere else. Therefore, the Gemara says, Amri v'chol behem techad de ha'achronot. Teach you what hazar v'klal. It's no generalization. Klal prat klal iyat hadan ela kin prat. You only can compare it to similar to what's the specification, but not limited to it. And what's similar? Ma prat mefurash ba'al ha'chaim, just like living things. Af kol ba'halim, all types of living things, including wild animals and birds. Me'ema, 1 second. Ma prat mefurash davar shniblatum b'tamam b'gam masa. Similar to yesterday, but this type of tum'ah, this type of animal that was mentioned, shor and hamor, is maybe it's limited to only things that have tum'ah of touching. Davar so maybe that would be excluding birds. Amri, they say, I should only mention one, ox or donkey, in order to teach you that. Why did I mention both? To teach you included birds. So which one would have worked? Which one of them would have worked? We had the very, very similar, practically word for word yesterday. Mentioned ox, only animals that are able to be used in a be'ach. But things like you cannot use it for a mizbeach like a hamor, you can't use katav rahmana hamor, therefore a donkey. Hamor donkey havamina kadosh bechora in shem bekadosh bechora lo. The donkey is special because it has bechor. No other animals could be used or included at least. I'm not sure, therefore to have the right shore. So you couldn't just say one without the other. Rather, the word every, yani all, behemot, is including all types of animals, and not just limited to bechor, shor, and hamor, and it's not klal prat to klal, but rather ribui. It's an inclusion pasuk. Okay. What does that mean? What? Because it's called automatically ribui? Big problem. Because why? Regarding maaser, tichtiv kol mentions kol maaser sheni. Because Rashid didn't let it be klal uprat. We also had a hilchot of klal uprat over there. Detanya, benatah kesef v'chol asher ta'aveh nafshecha. You can give the maaser sheni, right? We have certain years they have maaser sheni. You can use that money to buy something, whatever you want, and eat that in Yerushalayim. It's a klal. Anything you want, klal. But bakar or bason bayan b'shechar, you could buy cattle, wine, any type of intoxicating liquid, prat, specifying these items. And anything your heart desires. Hazar klal, no, the generalization. Yes, only to specification. We deal like fruits or fruit from fruit and something that grows from the ground. Or anything else that grows from the ground. Maybe it's limited to that. So, but the word kol should be able to unlock everything. Why is it limited over there? If it's we can use it as a riboy to include more. When it says Amri, big kol klala. When it says big kol, it's a klal. Kol is riboy. Our pasuk had kol, not big kol. Okay. I said kol nami klalahu. The word kol also can be a klal, and therefore mihu. However, high kol dehacha ribuyahu. Over here, this word kol is including. And the second time it says, but it includes something else. It could have said, and your animals. Like the first time, and over here it said all. And therefore you must learn, over here it's a ribui. Now that you said the word call is riboy, it's including why do I need the pasuk of your animal and your ox and donkey in the first time, in the second time? It says Amri shor lagmure shor lahasima, right? The word ox is to teach you Gzer Shava of the ox in Hilchot of muzzling while working. Hamor, and the word hamor to teach you like hamor lefrika, to teach you the from donkey to donkey with the hilchot of working on Shabbat. And that's why you need to look at If that's the case, maybe a person should also be asur to pull the wagon with an animal, right? Like kilayim, just like you gotta work. That's what they work on Shabbat. Alama Tanan, how can we say Adam mutarim kudan a person can work within a cow or whatever it is. There's no din of kilayim. If we're learning from the same things and you can't work on Shabbat, you also can't plow with your animal. Amar Papa, these type of people knew the answer. Umano, and who's that? Rav bar Yaakov. Amar Kra, he says, your slave and your shivcha can rest like you. The only time you compared your slave is regarding to resting on Shabbat. Not anything else, including Kalayim, you can have a person and animal working together. They asked the question. How come in the first version of the Tanakh it never said the word good? So with but the second time, it mentioned the word good. Before you ask me why he says good, right? So it says shall be good for you. The second time, why does he say good? So he says before you ask me why he says good. First, ask me if good is mentioned or not. I don't know if it says good, right? So now, what does that mean? Does that mean he does not know what the pasuk says? So it's a whole suya about that. So he says, therefore, go to this rabbi Shaya Ragil at Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, who's been actually Shaya Baki Bagata, he knew Agata. So he says, Amar Zalagam, he went to him. Malay asked him, I never heard from him. I heard from this rabbi. Hashem did not use the word good in the first aside they brought because they were going to be broken. So what? When they broken, so what's the difference? We don't want the word good to be erased for Bnei Israel. A few more lines. Amar Rabbi Yeshua. Someone who wrote the season letter Tet in his dream, Siman Nefelo is a good sign for him. My time, why? Because the word Tov, maybe it means these negative words. It will be swept with destruction. Tet coming in, it's referring to one Tet. Over there is two Tets. That's one Tet, impure. Where it says Tet Bet coming in, referring to someone who sees a Tet and a Bet. That's good. That's both letters. You shall sink. That's not good, and that has Tebet as well. Right? The first tet that appears in the word is good. Right? Why is it a good sign? Because the Torah first began with using the letter tet in a good way. Because from the word bereshit until v'yara lim kitov, it never had a word tet. The first time the word Torah wrote tet was tov, and that's why it's a good sign.